That's a cave hyena jaw.
What do you know? There's other bones besides bear. Who'da thunk it? She then focused on Joan's question, now answering in French. Fortunately, the jaw was in good condition, and I simply brushed off the dirt in the crevices of the molars. Kyler was on the other side of the table, his eyes focused as he dipped the pen into the ink bottle. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Hendrik standing a few feet away, watching Kyler. He then approached and said something to him. Pausing, Kyler muttered something dismissively and returned to recording the find, not once glancing in Hendrik's direction. Guessing that didn't go swimmingly either. I feel like all I'm doing is watching the two of them butt heads.
Melissa, when you're done cleaning that bone, can I talk to you for a few minutes?
Oh, right. His smile was kind, but his eyes seemed troubled, and I nodded meekly. Wonder what that's about. Once I cleaned and recorded the jaw, I placed a document next to the tray filled with cups. Carefully, I inserted the jaw into a bigger cup, then entered the museum.
Sorry for dragging you away from everyone. I thought it'd be more polite this way.
Did I do something wrong? He grinned to appease me and tapped the paper he held.
I've noticed that you've been neglecting to sketch the findings for the grid at the bottom here in your most recent documents.
I peered at the blank section. Is it important?
Extremely. It's great that you're recording the dimensions, but you're not telling us the position that it's found in. It can mean the difference between a bone deposited from natural processes or physically placed there by human activity. I'm not my uncle, since I prefer the KISS approach. Basically, don't forget to record the context.
Despite his attempt to keep the conversation pleasant, I sensed the weight behind the words. I'll be sure to do that from now on. I'm really sorry. You've probably lost some valuable data because of this. Aware of my guilt, he gave me a comforting pat on the shoulder.
You're acting as if no one else made mistakes like this before. It's an ongoing learning progress. For both of us. You're lucky you decided not to excavate today. I can tell Augustin I've already spoken to you. His lectures tend to get lengthy.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up. I summed up conversation to Sherry.
Was that it? I should have checked on your documents more often.
It's not your fault. I was getting careless. Still, I wish it was caught earlier.
It takes a while to sort through everything found. Augustin and Rosemarie are still going through findings from 20 years ago.
Now I'm lucky my mistake was only caught a week later. Yee. Ah, the KISS approach. So much more gentle than being yelled at. We're so close to 100 rational. Because we just never leave the lab. Okay, there we go. Rational. Rational for days and days. Maybe I should do some volunteer work, though. This evening is more festive than usual. There was a party here every night, but this was one of the liveliest I've seen yet.
This is the last week for most of the students here. That's why they're all celebrating.
What's let's party in French?
Faire la fête. Or you could simply say célébrons.
Isn't faire a verb for make?
Make, do, act.
Basically you're saying make the party? That sounds more engaging than let's party. In English we should say let's make party from now on. You dig?
It's interesting. I don't think it's going to catch on, Mel.
Watch me. It'll spread like a catchphrase in lockets. My eyes wandered over to the dancing, which was pitiful in my eyes. There were a few casual participants, some with a beer in hand. I had a feeling if no one else joined, it would dissolve like sugar in tea. A shame. I hated seeing an empty dance floor. I spotted Chantal and Joan chatting away and decided to join them. Later, DeAndre.
Cheers.
Something up? Here to say hi?
Hi.
Hey, Joan. And Chantal, you could say that. I was waiting for the right time to dance. You should grab a partner and encourage more people to join in. True. Even if club music was not my thing, at least it'd get my feet moving. Who should I ask? I wonder if he will. I don't know. I'll be surprised if he does. But delighted at the same time. Because he should rock the dance floor. It was a breeze to find him. Hendrik was casually talking to Rosemarie by the eating area when I approached him. Hello, it's good to see you finally joining one of our social gatherings.
I'm surprised myself, but the atmosphere's been fun, and I thought, why not? A lot of the students are finished this week, and I haven't had a beer in a while.
Then would it be too much to ask for a dance, too? He looks like a deer in headlights. Actually, so does Rosemary.
A dance?
Rosemary gave him a sharp slap to the back. Go, hen! Go!
Ow!
Go on, you workaholic. I think you can afford a few minutes to accompany the young lady who thoughtfully asked you out.
But I have 2 left feet.
Lies, you rock climb mountains for breakfast. Melissa, take this lug with you. She gave him a sportive shove, and I offered Hendrik a hand. Once he accepted it, I started leading him to the dance floor. This is like me trying to get my husband to dance with me. Be nice, though. He's more awkward with the ladies than he appears to be.
Rose!
Chuckling, we reached the dance floor. He glanced down at me, then produced an awry smile.
Sorry about that.
I'm the one who asked you out. Thanks for accepting, even if Rosemary spoke for you. I casually swayed side to side, and Hendrik made a few uneven shuffles before deciding it was less embarrassing to keep his feet planted.
You're really good at this.
Thanks. I've been dancing since I was 12. I like to think I got the basic movements down pat.
I figured from the hoodie you always wear in the cave. Lindy Hopper, right?
Yep, although this music isn't exactly swing material, not jazzy enough.
I love jazz and R&B myself. There was a swing revival in Germany years back, and I got hooked on the genre.
Nice! If you ever stay the weekend again, I could teach you some authentic swing moves if you'd like. Or just show you.
I'd like that. I was never one for club dancing. I actually can't remember the last time I've done something like this.
We continued our small chat until the song faded away. Thanks for joining me. You weren't so bad.
I can dance as long as I don't move my feet. I'll see you later, Melissa.
He actually danced! Hooray! Even if Rosemary had to push him into it. We departed from the dance floor. He rejoined Rosemary, who, judging by her smirk, was already teasing him. The keys jingled in her hand, and I waved the two goodbye. Once the party reached its conclusion and the music stopped, people trickled back to the tent area, myself included. I had a good time. Hendrik wasn't an impressive dancer, but he was easygoing about the offer. Which is more than I can say for some people, am I right? Yeah. Ugh, drinking. Oh, hey, this is DeAndre's report. Rummaging through the plastic container, I spotted his name in scratchy handwriting. Curious, I pulled it out and set it on the table by my workstation. I opened the document to read the findings list. Number 1, OS. Number 2, OS. Number 3, OS. Number 4, OS? The whole document just says bone. Some even have a question mark.
Hendrik, il y a un problème.
I jolted at the word problem. Joan was on the verge of tears, and she struggled to remain calm.
Quoi? Qu'est-ce qui ne va pas? Kyler est blessé.
Hendrik's face hardened, and he quickly glanced at the museum, where Augustin disappeared into momentarily. Students gasped and started asking questions. However, Hendrik ordered them to calm down, then departed with Joan. It sounded bad. Was there an accident? I hovered by the table, wondering if I should join them. It involved my square mate, but Hendrik did say to stay put. After what felt like forever, I saw Sherry and Kyler hurry toward the museum. Kyler grasped his upper arm, and I thought I saw a flash of bright red under his bangs. Kyler! I stood up to approach them, but Sherry shook her head disapprovingly, and I slumped back into my seat. I guess they needed some privacy. Once another eternity passed, I impatiently made a beeline for the museum. My boldness faltered, and I timidly peered into the laboratory, since its door was ajar. Hello? Can I come in? You may! I pushed open the door and entered. Sherry closed the first aid kit before turning to me. What happened? Kyler seethed quietly and stared at the floor. One of the heat lamps on the catwalk fell over and crashed where you and Kyler dig. Kyler was fortunate. The stand grazed him after it hit the ground. What? Kyler, how are your injuries?
I'm fine. I only have a bruise on my arm when I shielded myself, and a small cut from the end of the stand.
He flicked his bangs, briefly revealing the butterfly bandage before combing his hair over again. Still, it was a close call. If you were a few feet closer, I would have been performing an autopsy instead of first aid.
Considering that's your specialty, it would have been the perfect teaching opportunity.
True. The two burst out laughing, and I rubbed my forehead in disbelief. They both have a weird sense of humor. Kind of morbid, you could say. I'm glad you didn't excavate today, Melissa. Hendrik cleaning up the mess as we speak, since we don't want glass surrounding your workplace. Augustin was furious. Yikes, I can imagine. Did the heat lamp just tip over on its own? Was it already unstable?
No, DeAndre bumped into it on the catwalk and nearly fell over, too. If Chantal and Shoji hadn't.
He abruptly stopped himself and stood up, ignoring Sherry's low objection.
I need to talk to Shoji. Thank you for everything, Sherry. I'll be fine.
Take it easy. I'm glad the stand didn't strike your head, but please let me know if you experience any dizziness. He answered with a short nod and exited the lab. I guess that's it? Can I help with anything? No, it's all over now. You can return to your lab work. Right. I hope things don't sour between DeAndre and Kyler again. It's just an ongoing sourness, just going on always. And our music stopped. And we failed, because there's no music. We can't succeed without music, although we did there. Ooh. Very hard to fail at inquiring, apparently. Ugh, but the internet. Looking at bunny videos, on the other hand. Pasta again? What's with all the high-calorie stuff anyway? I grinned as I watched Chantal shove another forkful of Alfredo tortellini into her mouth. It took you that long to notice? Besides, it's the easiest, most inexpensive stuff to make. All you do is throw stuff into a pot, let it boil, and use pre-made sauces. Plus, it gives you energy after all that digging and lab work. True, but variety would be nice. It's mostly chili, some type of soup, macaroni, again with the pasta. She trailed off and we continued eating. A moment later, Chantal let out an unexpected sigh. Something up? Is it about the food again? No, I feel bad about what happened with DeAndre. He was already struggling to pass the elective and the near fall made it worse. Plus, it was kind of my fault too. I wonder if they'll fail him. Augustin can do that? Of course. Our teachers aren't here. For us to pass, we need to at least perform satisfactorily. Basically, don't break stuff, don't fumble on our document reports, and finish our square. Now that I think about it, I hardly see him in the cave at all, and that's not because I'm not in there hardly myself. Our chat continued until we finished our meals. While one of the volunteers stacked the plates, my mind drifted to DeAndre. I really hope they won't fail him for an accident. How was he anyway? At lunch, he laughed and even retold the story to the students who weren't there. Should I go find DeAndre or talk to Hendrik about it? Hendrik... I should ask Hendrik directly and maybe convince him otherwise. My mind thought of reasons while I entered the museum. Don't fail a professional rugby player. He tried really, really hard, honest. Isn't there another way? And that's why you shouldn't fail him. Gah! Hendrik, who had his back to me, spun around in the office chair as he pounded his chest, coughing. Nestled in his lap was a bowl of sliced fried potatoes? I wasn't sure, but I wasn't focused on the meal, but the fact that I startled him. Oh, sorry about that.
I admit, that surprised me. Something up? What about failing?
I was thinking up reasons not to fail DeAndre, and I blurted out as soon as I spotted you.
I see. It's sweet of you to be concerned for him. Unfortunately, the decision has already been made. Augustin has failed him, and I can't turn the grade over. Then... However, if he wants to try again, there's always a second chance. It's up to him. We're understaffed this summer, and it hasn't been easy giving students the help they need, especially if they haven't brought up they were struggling with the elective. I'd like all of the students who come here to have a good experience. I mean, how many people can say they've excavated an archaeological site? Not many, and to most it'll be their one and only time, and I want it to be memorable. Is this why you came to see me?
Pretty much. Thanks for letting me know, Hendrik. It wasn't because of what happened yesterday, right?
Gosh, no. That's our fault. Every time I passed the heat lamp, I'd remind myself to reposition it later. Of course, it brought up something Kyler's been advocating for the past year or so, and I don't like how my uncle is considering it.
What's that?
The idea that only archaeology students, ones who are genuinely interested in the subject, should be able to take this elective. How excluding is that?
On one hand, making Call Cave available only to archaeology students meant they'd always have a group passionate about the subject and its related fields. Maybe cut down on mistakes or mishaps, too. However, it meant fewer people participating and denied them a chance for a new experience. Well, the thing is, I can kind of see where Kyler's coming from. I mean, realistically, a lot of the students that come here are not interested in archaeology. They're just taking it as an easy elective to pass, right? At the same time, Hendrik has a point. I can't just up and straight agree with you, Hendrik. Teacher's pet! I can't be the teacher's pet. That's not good. Never works out well. So, I'll advocate for my square mate, but at the same time, I get Kyler's perspective. There are some pros to it, but it's also limiting. You're shutting out potential students who might gain valuable insight or appreciation for archaeology.
I admire Kyler for always thinking of what's best for the site, but if it includes restricting access, it'll do more harm than good. After all, what keeps this tiny little museum running? Donations, gift shop, people visiting, and the people paying to stay here while they participate in the course. If it were only archaeology students, we'd have to raise the prices to make up for the low number. Plus, we'd be denying students a unique experience, I think.
For sure, I mean, this was an awesome experience for Shoji, who had no interest in archaeology.
Trying to think of an example as well.
Does it involve food?
Not this time. Melissa, did you always want to be an archaeologist?
Huh? No, not really. I entered university with other goals in mind and wandered into anthropology instead.
There we go. It also happens to some of the students who are only in their first year. They try out this elective and end up enjoying it so much that they switch degrees. Kyler was one of them.
That's right, I totally forgot about that. I forgot that Kyler was going for something else and discovered that he loved archaeology. Kyler? Really? You'd think it was his childhood dream. What was he originally going into?
It was... what was it again? Oh, he was going for a teaching degree. I think it was pressure from his parents, though, but I don't know the full story. He rarely talks to me, so it's all secondhand information. Even if they don't get into archaeology in the end, some of the students still visit years from now. A few even bring their kids because they have fond memories of it. It's pretty rewarding.
Remembering that he still had dinner, he jabbed at a chunk of potato and put it into his mouth. He frowned as he chewed it. Is it cold now? Yep. I recognize that face.
Oh, it's cold. The last time we chatted like this, didn't I nearly burn the sauce? What is it with you and making me forget about my meals?
I'm just that wonderful of a person. It's my personality. Because my conversations are super engaging?
Seems so.
What are you eating, by the way? Potatoes?
Just some fried apples and onions. It's not much, but it fills you up.
Fried apples and onions? What does that taste like? Yeah, I wrinkled my nose at the unlikely combination, and he chuckled.
I'm not that much of a cook, which is why I keep the recipes simple.
But, I mean, are apples that much easier than potatoes? Anywho, I'll get out of your hair now. Later, Hendrik. Approaching the doorframe, I paused as I thought of something. Hendrik, did you always want to be a geologist?
Since I could remember. Both of my parents were in the field, and it was only natural their passion would rub off on me.
I guess you could say your future career was set in stone?
Exactly right, Melissa. I'm a chip off the old block.
Bravo. Well done. Well done to both of you. We exchanged goodbyes and I departed, reflecting over the conversation. I had nearly forgotten the original reason why I spoke to him, and wondered what DeAndre would decide. Hopefully he would try again. Maybe Chantel went and talked to him. I hope so. They'd make a cute couple. I'll willingly give him to Chantel, since I'm not going for him this time around. Okay. Oh, hello. Hello, full hearts. That was quick. Where are we? Week 5? Me, oh my, oh my, oh me. Okay. Lab. Yes? Yeah. DeAndre threw me off there. Lab. All the labs all the time, I guess, is what we're doing with our lives. The halfway point, huh? We still haven't gotten yelled at for not volunteering. Today, Colin Cave would receive an influx of new students, meaning repeated lectures and speeches. I could count on Kyler, Chantel, and Joan returning, and of course the main excavation team, but as usual, the truck pulled up before the closed gate. Augustin hopped out and unlocked it before returning to his vehicle to park it elsewhere. Sherry approached me, patting her purse. I have your journal. Please go over it when you have the chance. Will do. Thanks, Sherry. She disappeared into the museum. As time passed, more and more students arrived. Unlike the first time, I immediately greeted them with broken French, then explained I could not speak it well. They responded in English with various degrees of fluency, appreciating the warm welcome. Hendrik and Rosemarie arrived next. Hendrik gave a friendly wave as I hurried to meet them. Leaning down, he greeted me with a light kiss to both cheeks, and Rosemarie followed suit.
Hey, Melissa, how was your weekend?
He didn't call me kiddo! He didn't call me kiddo this time! I don't know why this is so exciting to me, but I'm like, we've made progress with this boy!
It looks like you survived at least. I hope the scary sounds didn't keep you awake all night.
I learned to drown them out with my headphones. Now I can actually sleep. Sounds?
My uncle joked that the museum was haunted by the wrath of the Neanderthal we dug up, and she believed it.
I did not! Do not! It's a little eerie at night, that's all.
Well, you are surrounded by a lot of bones.
Wrath of the Neanderthal, huh? You're more likely to be haunted by the ghosts of the students who found stone tools in their wet screen. You aren't helping! You guys are terrible, meh. We talked until Hendrik and Rosemarie excused themselves to set up their equipment. It looked like everyone arrived. Even Kyler gave me a nod of acknowledgement before vanishing to the tent area. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted DeAndre and Shoji both pulling their luggage, and I brightened. DeAndre's return was expected, but Shoji had no reason to continue the elective. I'll greet DeAndre first this time. I bounded over to him, then straightened my posture, expecting a social kiss. Back for round 2, are you? Staying in the game? He leaned over, but briefly examined my face before following through with a cheek kiss.
Making sure you don't have anything on your face this time.
DeAndre, it was just one time. One time.
And yes, I'm back in the game. I'd rather miss only 1 month's worth of training than 3. Anyway, we'll catch up later. Need to reclaim my tent before the lecture starts.
Right, later. I caught Shoji's eye and gave him a cheerful wave. Morning, what brings you back here? Oh, don't tell me you failed. No. I passed. It was a B. I thought I'd do worse, so it was a pleasant surprise. So why did you continue? Well... He stopped when we heard Augustin shouting, making huge motions with his arms to urge everyone to the center of the field. Shoji dropped his voice to a whisper as students weaved around us. Because it's been a good experience for me. Before I could respond, everyone fell quiet as Augustin began talking, and I turned to listen. I couldn't believe it was already the halfway point. Time to make the most out of the last 4 weeks. Indeed. Well, I was getting better in the lab, but why is it so hard to write on bones? Cursing mentally, I cleaned the dip pen and then scratched its nib into the bone to remove the blotch. Careful, don't damage the bone. Ugh. Scratch my head. Maybe I could have Rosemary demonstrate for me again? It's just writing some letters and numbers, though. Why am I struggling so much with the final step? Maybe I need to angle the pen more? He looks like he wants to say something. Help me. Shoji, can you show me how you write? I keep smudging the bones. Of course, I don't mind at all. He stood up and maneuvered toward my workstation. After he sat down, I passed him the tooth and he turned it over until he found a flat surface. Thanks for helping me. It's not a problem. I like helping when I can. I watched him read my document and I pointed to the recorded bone and its identification. He carefully dipped the pen, then fluently jotted down the label. When he was satisfied, he placed the pen down on a paper towel and handed the tooth to me. It should be okay once it dries. How did you do it so neatly? It's hard to explain. Can you write something for me? Taking the pen, I dipped it, then scribbled something on the back of the document. I was sure it wouldn't ruin the document if I wrote in the corner. Pan skulls? It says pen skills. I know, my writing is a little messy. I'll try again. Anyway, you're holding it correctly. You tend to blotch when you're making an upward stroke. You need to have the nib barely touch the surface when you do that, or it'll snag, especially if the surface is uneven. If that makes sense. I attempted again, and this time my E didn't look as crooked or spotty. Oh wow, what a difference already. You'll get better with practice. Thanks again, I really appreciate it. Darren! Aw, what a sweetie Shoji is. Such a good friend. Aw man, I'm out of water. No! Gonna have to refill that. What? Kyler is in the lab? What a rare sight! If you have any questions or need...
I can't focus with you hanging over my shoulder.
Fine, I'll let you be. So languid. Oh. Rosemary wandered over to my table. Don't get along? Not my fault. I'm charming and lovable, and he's... Ugh, can't explain it. It feels like I'm talking to a wall. Or a square. A square? It's a running joke in dance that we call boring, stuffy people squares, since they don't think outside of the box and all. A square! That suits him perfectly. He never looks beyond the square he digs at. Still, I wish he'd seek my help more. It's bad enough he ignores Hendrik. Augustin is brilliant and contributed to both archaeology and microstratigraphy, but he's just one mind, one man. We all have our own ways of doing and teaching, and it's good to widen that horizon.
I don't mind it so much. Augustin and I butt heads less when a student sticks to their preferred teacher.
Are you referring to the Flint incident? The burrow incident? The stalagmite incident?
This is why I'm in the lab during the summer.
That sounds like a whole other topic. Pretty much. Bottom line is, Kyler and I hardly speak to each other, and he never asked for my help.
That's because you planted napped flint in his wet screen.
Oh, that was good.
Twice.
I thought he'd find it funnier the second time.
You act like there was a first.
He's gonna struggle when he gets into the real world. As skilled as he is, no one will take notice if he doesn't network.
I see. Rosemary is trying to help him in her own way.
He's also fun to tease. He does have that face that screams, "Please bully me."
Or not.
But I can see what she means. Oh, Rose, you're so much fun. Too bad there's not a Rosemary route. It would be awesome. Instead, she's just an amazing character that I like running into once in a while. And I hope she has more of an impact with Hendrik's route too. Push him into more situations. That'd be good. That'd be real good. Man, we're so successful this time around. Look at us. Ooh, go Mel.